All right, so get this. We're going deep today, like really deep. We're talking about brainwashing ourselves for wealth.
Whoa. Okay, intense.
Right, that's what caught my eye too. The title of this YouTube video is actually called How I Brainwashed Myself to Be Rich.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Who's this brainwashing guru?
Her name is Leila Hormozi. She's like this self-made, multimillionaire, super successful entrepreneur, and she does not hold back, let me tell you.
Sounds like my kind of person.
Oh, yeah, you're going to love this. We're going to break down her kind of unconventional principles for building wealth and, pull out the good stuff for our listeners.
Yeah, because, brainwashing sounds a little extreme, maybe.
Totally. We're not like signing up for a cult or anything. More like, taking what works and leaving the rest.
Right on. So where does this brainwashing process begin?
Well, she starts off strong. Right off the bat, she's like, surround yourself with success.
Okay, I've heard that before.
Yeah, but she takes it a step further. Like, really think about it. You become who you hang out with, right? Especially when it comes to money and stuff.
I can see that. Like, if your friends are all about saving and investing, you're probably going to pick up some of those habits.
Exactly. And she actually moved to California, like, right after college, just to be around wealthier people.
Wow, committed.
Yeah. She's serious about this stuff. And, there's science behind it, too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like this thing called social contagion. Our environment shapes our beliefs in all sorts of subtle ways.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. If everyone around you is struggling financially, it's easy to just, accept that as the norm.
Totally. You just start to think, well, this is just how life is.
But if you're around people who are killing it, it opens a whole new world of possibilities. Suddenly you're like, wait, maybe I can achieve that too.
And Hormozi, she really throws down the gauntlet, She asks this question, and it's like brutal. She says, what benefit does anybody around you get if you make more money than them?
Oh, wow. That's deep.
Right. Makes you think about who's really in your corner rooting for your success.
Yeah, it's like, are your friends and family truly supportive of your financial goals? Or would they feel threatened if you started making serious bank?
It's a tough question, but it's worth asking ourselves, right? Like,
Yeah.
It reminds me of that quote, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Oh, I love that one. But yeah, you got to make sure you're running with the right crew.
For sure. So, maybe it's time to take stock of your circle. Are you taking financial advice from someone who's actually living the life you want?
Right, someone who's walking the walk, not just talking the talk. If not, maybe it's time to expand your horizons.
Seek out mentors or communities where people are already crushing it.
Exactly. Surround yourself with the energy and knowledge you need to level up your financial game.
All right, so next up, Hormozi drops this truth bomb. She's like, making money and building wealth, they're two totally different things.
Okay, break that down for me.
She says making money is all about action, speed, like closing deals, right? Super important, but it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Gotcha. So what's the other piece?
Building wealth, she says, that's the long game. It's about patience, strategy, thinking long term.
I see. So it's like the difference between, sprinting and running a marathon.
Perfect analogy. You need different skills and a whole different mindset for each.
Right. It's not enough to just make a quick buck. You need to know how to manage and grow that money over time.
And she tells this crazy story about her friend, right? Sold his business for millions, thought he was set for life.
Oof, I sense a butt coming.
Big butt. He ends up losing almost all of it.
Wow.
Hasty investments. He was basically playing the short game with long-term money, like trying to get rich quick with his newfound fortune.
Oof, classic mistake. It's like winning the lottery and then blowing it all in a year.
Exactly. That's why financial literacy is so key. Before you make any big moves with your money, you got to understand the basics, like risk management, diversification, all that good stuff.
Right. It's not enough to just have money. You need to know how to make that money work for you.
Which brings us to her third principal focus. Hormozi's like, stop obsessing over saving pennies and start thinking about expanding the whole pie.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Right. It's not about being cheap. It's about being strategic.
So instead of trying to pinch pennies on every little thing.
Exactly. We got to focus our energy on activities that actually generate more income.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Boom. Nailed it. She used to do everything herself, cleaning, cooking, all that to save money when she was starting out.
Makes sense. Bootstrap mentality.
Right. But then she realized her time was way more valuable if she focused on her business. Generating revenue? That's where the real leverage is.
That's a powerful shift. It's like sometimes trying to save ourselves into wealth actually backfires.
Totally. We can end up trading hours for dollars when we could be using that time to build something bigger.
So instead of just cutting back, think about how you can create more income streams. Use your skills and talents to generate real wealth.
Yes, it's like work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
Okay, so her fourth principle, this one kind of blew my mind. It challenges this whole idea that expensive equals better.
Okay, tell me more. I'm all about challenging the status quo.
So she tells this story about getting hit with this insane legal bill. $870,000 for a compliance review. Can you believe it?
Whoa, that's some serious cash.
Right. And the advice she got was like totally useless. She ends up solving the problem herself with this like one-page document.
No way. See, that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best.
It shows that frugality isn't about being cheap, it's about being resourceful, like finding creative solutions that actually work.
Exactly. And it forces you to get innovative. It's like this muscle you build by working within constraints.
Love that. Okay, so this next principle, it threw me for a loop a little bit. She's a big believer in having an oh shoot fund.
Wait, what? I thought we were trying to be rich, not prepare for disaster.
Right. That was my initial reaction too, but hear her out. She's saying that having a financial safety net can actually make you a bolder risk taker.
Okay, explain that to me.
Like, think about it. When you know you've got a cushion to fall back on, you're not so scared to go for those big opportunities.
Makes sense. It's like having that safety net allows you to swing for the fences because you know, even if you miss, you're not going to strike out completely.
Exactly. And she tells this story about a portfolio CEO, right? Super successful guy, but he was hesitant to expand his business because he was worried about his personal finances.
Oh, wow. Even CEOs get cold feet sometimes.
Right. And it's understandable. It's hard to think strategically when you're worried about making ends meet personally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what was his hang-up?
He only had like $40,000 in his personal account. He knew expanding was the right move for his business, but the risk just felt too big.
I can see that. It's like that fear of putting your entire livelihood on the line.
Exactly. And that's where the Oshti fund comes in. It gives you that mental space and confidence to make those big decisions without freaking out about your personal safety net.
Right. It's like that psychological permission slip to be bolder and aim higher.
Exactly. Okay, so buckle up for this one. Hormozi says money is a game.
Ooh, I like games.
Right. She says it's not about being the smartest or the hardest working. It's about understanding the rules and playing strategically.
So, like, what are the rules of this money game?
She talks about going to this mastermind event, right? And there's this guy there complaining about making like only $400,000 a month.
Wow, only $400,000. Some problems, right?
Seriously. And, you know, she was making way less at the time, but it made her realize something. This guy wasn't necessarily smarter or more talented than her. He just seemed to have a better grasp of how the money game worked.
So it's a learnable skill, not just some innate talent.
Exactly. It's like any game. The more you practice and learn the strategies, the better you become.
And like any game, there are always winners and losers. But we don't have to just sit back and hope for the best.
Right. We can take control by learning the rules, developing our skills, and making strategic moves.
So instead of leaving it all up to chance, we can become active participants in the money game.
Exactly. And speaking of active participation, Hormozi takes this game analogy a step further. She's like, money is also a tool.
Okay, a tool. I can dig that.
Yeah.
So what are we building with this money tool?
That's the question, right? Because it's not the end goal in itself. It's a means to an end.
Right. So many people get caught up in just accumulating money that they forget to ask themselves what they actually want to do with it.
It's like having a toolbox full of tools, but no blueprint for what you're building.
Or like winning a cooking competition and then realizing you don't even like to cook.
Haha, exactly. And Hormozi's been there. She talks about how she felt like kind of empty after selling her business for a big chunk of change.
Why? Shouldn't that be the dream?
Because she hadn't figured out what she actually wanted to do with all that money. She hadn't defined her why, you know?
So it's not just about getting rich. It's about getting rich for a reason, having a purpose behind the pursuit.
Exactly. What experiences do you want to create? What impact do you want to make? Those are the questions that drive us towards real fulfillment.
It's like having a compass, you know. Money can be the fuel, but you need a direction to travel in.
Okay, so this next principle is all about measurement. Hormozi is a big believer in the idea that what gets measured gets managed.
I can get behind that. It's hard to improve what you don't track.
Right. And she's not just talking about like tracking your income and expenses, she shared the study about weight loss.
Okay, weight loss, money. What's the connection?
People who weighed themselves regularly lost more weight, even if they didn't change anything else. Just the act of measuring made them more aware and accountable.
Ah, I see. It's like holding up a mirror to your habits. When you track your finances, you become more conscious of where your money is going.
Exactly. And that awareness allows you to make more informed decisions.
So it's not about becoming obsessed with numbers. It's about gaining clarity and control over your financial life.
Exactly. There are so many tools out there to help us do this. Budgeting apps, net worth trackers, all sorts of things.
Makes it super easy to stay on top of your financial game.
Right. Hormozi even suggests checking your bank account every single day to stay on top of your cash flow. Now, that might be a bit much for some people, but the principle is solid. The more aware we are of our finances, the more empowered we are to make choices that align with our goals.
Absolutely. And that leads us to our final principle for today. Hormozi calls it buying for now and later.
I like that. It's about finding that balance between enjoying the present and securing your future.
Exactly. She tells these contrasting stories like this salesperson who blows his first big commission check on a fancy car and a house versus her own decision to drive her beat-up Prius for years, even after she was making good money.
So are you playing the short game or the long game?
Right, and then she talks about this portfolio CEO who starts living large private jets, luxury hotels, once he hits a certain income level.
It's almost like they were acting rich before they actually built a solid foundation, like putting on this show of wealth without having the substance to back it up.
And that kind of short-term thinking can really sabotage your long-term progress. It's like building a house on sand. One strong wind and the whole thing collapses.
So it's not just about making money, it's about making smart choices that set you up for lasting financial security and freedom.
It's about building a life that's both enjoyable now and sustainable for the long haul.
And that wraps up part 1 of our deep dive into Leila Hormozi's wealth building principles. We've covered so much ground already, from the power of our environment and the importance of focus
to understanding money as a game, a tool, and realizing that it's not just about getting rich, it's about building a life we truly love.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We're still unpacking all this brainwashing stuff from Leila Hormozi. Remember her?
How could we forget? Brainwashing for wealth? That's catchy.
Right. So this next principle she talks about, it's all about having a long-term mindset when it comes to money. Thinking beyond instant gratification and making decisions that benefit our future selves.
Makes sense, like playing the long game instead of always going for the quick win.
Exactly. And she observes that, people who consistently build wealth, they tend to make decisions with that long-term perspective, while those who struggle often get caught up in impulsive choices.
Like that classic marshmallow experiment,
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
The kids who could wait for 2 marshmallows instead of taking one right away, they ended up having better outcomes later in life. Seems like a similar principle applies to money.
That's a great analogy, delayed gratification, right? Like being able to resist that urge to splurge and choosing to invest in your future instead.
Totally. It's about thinking, where do I want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and making choices that align with that vision.
And Hormozi, she walks the walk, She talks about how she and her partner drove a beat-up Prius for years, even after they were making bank with their businesses.
Seriously?
Yeah. They could have easily gone out and bought some fancy sports car, but they chose to invest their money wisely instead.
It's a good reminder that, true wealth isn't about flashy displays of spending. It's about making smart choices that build a solid foundation for the future.
Exactly. It's about being intentional with your money and not letting lifestyle inflation get ahead of your financial goals.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, though, right? You start making more money, and suddenly you feel like you need a bigger house, a nicer car, all the latest gadgets.
It's like you're trying to keep up with the Joneses instead of focusing on your own personal definition of success.
Right. And before you know it, you're back on the hamster wheel, working just to maintain this lifestyle you've created for yourself.
Exactly. And that's why this principle is so important. It's about understanding that true wealth isn't about stuff. It's about freedom and security.
Freedom to do what you want when you want, without being tied down by financial stress.
Exactly. Okay, so principle number 11. This one's all about, taking action even when it's tough. Doing the hard things even when you don't feel like it.
Okay, I'm all about taking action, but let's be real. Sometimes it's hard to get motivated.
Totally. Especially when it comes to money, saving, investing, delaying gratification, all that stuff. It can feel so much easier to just spend now and worry about the consequences later.
But that's exactly the kind of thinking that keeps people stuck in a cycle of financial struggle.
Right. And Hormozi, she has this great way of putting it. She says, do what's hard when it's easy so you can do what's easy when it's hard.
Okay, try saying that 5 times fast.
Haha, I know, right?
Yeah.
But it's so true. It's about building those good habits early on so that when things get tough, our default mode is already set for success.
Think about it like training for a marathon. You don't just wake up one day and decide to run 26 miles. You have to put in the work, train consistently, build up your endurance, even when you don't feel like it.
That's a perfect analogy. Because building financial health, it's just like building physical health. It requires discipline, consistency, and making those tough choices even when they're not the most fun in the moment.
Like choosing a salad over a burger, or hitting the gym instead of hitting the snooze button.
Exactly. And those small choices, they add up over time. They build that financial muscle memory so that when we're faced with tough situations, we're already equipped to handle them.
It's about being proactive instead of reactive, creating those positive financial habits that set us up for success in the long run.
Okay, next up, Hormozi talks about being a relentless learner, always seeking out new knowledge and skills, even when you think you've made it.
Love that. It's like that saying, the day you stop learning is the day you start dying.
Right. And she really believes that in today's world, things are changing so fast, To stay ahead of the curve, we got to be adaptable and always be learning.
It's not just about formal education either. It's about being curious, exploring new ideas, and being open to learning from different sources. Books, podcasts, mentors, even our own mistakes.
Exactly. It's like this constant evolution, The more we learn, the more valuable we become.
It's like investing in your own human capital, because knowledge, that's something no one can ever take away from you.
And speaking of investing in yourself, Hormozi also talks about embracing challenges as opportunities for growth.
Ooh, I like that reframing. It's easy to get discouraged when things get tough, but it's all about how we choose to see those challenges.
Right, because every challenge we overcome, it makes us stronger, more resilient.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly. And that resilience, it's essential for success, both in life and in finance, because let's face it, there are going to be setbacks. There are going to be obstacles. It's about having that mental toughness to keep going, even when things get tough.
Okay, love that. So on to the next principle. Hormozi reminds us that success is never a solo act.
Preach. It's all about building a strong team and surrounding yourself with talented people who can support your vision.
It's like even the most successful people in the world, they didn't get there alone. They had mentors, partners, teams of people helping them along the way.
Right. It's about recognizing your own strengths and weaknesses and seeking out people who complement your skills.
Creating that synergy where everyone's bringing their A game and working together to achieve something amazing.
It's like that African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Love that. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Okay, for her 15th principle, Hormozi talks about the importance of serving others.
Okay, serving others, money. How do those two connect?
She argues that, the more value we provide to others, the more successful we become.
Interesting. So it's not just about, what we can get, it's about what we can give.
Exactly. It's about shifting our focus from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset.
Because when we focus on serving others, we actually open ourselves up to receiving more abundance in return.
It's like that whole karma thing, What goes around comes around.
Right. And it also makes business sense.
Yeah.
When you focus on solving problems and meeting the needs of your audience, you're naturally going to create a successful business.
Totally. It's a win-win situation.
Okay, so principle number 16. Hormozi emphasizes taking ownership of our results.
This one's all about personal accountability.
Right, like not blaming other people or circumstances when things don't go our way.
Because it's easy to make excuses, right? It's easier to point fingers than to look in the mirror and take responsibility for our own actions.
But when we take ownership, it empowers us to learn from our mistakes and move forward with greater clarity and purpose.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to shape our own destiny.
Okay, love that. On to principle 17. Hormozi says money is amplified energy.
Whoa, okay, that sounds kind of woo-woo.
It is a little out there, but hear me out. It basically means that our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions about money, they directly impact our financial reality.
So if we're always stressing about money or feeling like we don't have enough, we're actually attracting more of that scarcity into our lives.
Exactly. But if we cultivate an abundance mindset, if we believe that we're worthy of wealth and success, then we're more likely to attract those things into our experience.
It's like that whole law of attraction thing, right? You attract what you focus on.
Exactly. So it's about shifting our internal dialogue from scarcity to abundance and believing that we have the power to create the financial future we desire.
It's like retraining our brains to think about money in a positive and empowering way.
All right, on to the next one. Hormozi reminds us that it's not just about the destination, it's about enjoying the journey, like finding joy in the process of building wealth, not just obsessing over reaching a certain financial milestone.
That's so important. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle, always striving for the next level, the next goal.
But we got to remember to celebrate the small wins along the way, appreciate the progress we're making, and find fulfillment in the day-to-day activities that contribute to our success.
Because if we're not enjoying the ride, what's the point, right?
Exactly. Life is happening right now, so let's make sure we're savoring it.
All right, principle number 19. Hormozi talks about giving back, using our wealth to make a positive impact on the world.
Love this one. It's about recognizing that wealth is not just about accumulating money for ourselves. It's about using our resources to make a difference.
It's like taking that abundance we've created and sharing it with others, supporting causes we care about, helping those in need, making the world a better place.
It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected and that our actions have the power to make a real difference in the lives of others.
It's like that whole ripple effect, right? Even small acts of kindness can have a huge impact.
Okay, and finally, principle number 20. Hormozi reminds us that legacy is about more than just money.
It's about the impact we leave on the world and the values we pass down to future generations.
It's about creating something that lasts, something that outlives us, and contributes to a better future for all.
So it's not just about building wealth for ourselves, it's about building a legacy that makes a positive difference in the world.
Wow, that was quite a journey through Hormozi's principles.
Wow.
We've covered so much ground in this section, from the importance of a long-term mindset and taking action,
to embracing challenges, building a strong team, and finding joy in the journey.
and ultimately realizing that true wealth is about so much more than just money. It's about living a life of purpose, meaning, and impact.
And we're back, ready for the final stretch of this wealth-building, brainwashing marathon.
I'm feeling pretty pumped, actually, like ready to put all this wisdom into action.
Me too. So let's take everything we've learned from Leila Hormozi and figure out how to actually apply it to our own lives, like make this stuff real.
Yeah, because it's one thing to talk about these principles, but it's another thing to actually implement them.
Totally. And remember that question Hormozi asked, the one that really got us thinking?
You mean if money is a tool, what are you building with it? One.
That's the one. It's such a powerful question because it forces us to think beyond just like accumulating wealth. Like, what's the point of having all this money if we don't know what you're building with it?
Right. It's like having all the ingredients for a gourmet meal, but no recipe. You might end up with a big mess instead of a delicious dish.
Exactly. So let's shift from a consumer mindset to a creator mindset. Instead of just thinking about what we want to buy, let's focus on what we want to build, experience, contribute.
I love that. It's about becoming the architects of our own lives, using money as a tool to design the reality we want.
Yes. So how do we actually do that? Well, one of the things that Hormozi emphasizes throughout her video is the importance of investing in ourselves.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Like, you got to sharpen your tools if you want to build something amazing.
Exactly. And that means investing in our skills, our knowledge, our health, our well-being, all the things that help us grow and become more valuable.
And it doesn't have to be expensive either, right? Like, there are tons of free resources out there. Online courses, books, podcasts, mentorship programs. It's about making a conscious choice to prioritize our personal growth.
Totally. It's like planting seeds for our future. The more we invest in ourselves, the more we'll flourish.
And speaking of flourishing, I think it's also important to use money to invest in experiences that bring us joy and fulfillment. Things that light us up and make life worth living.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like travel, creative pursuits, spending quality time with loved ones, giving back to our communities. Those are the things that create lasting memories and enrich our lives in ways that material possessions just can't match.
Right. Because at the end of the day, true wealth isn't about the stuff we accumulate. It's about the life we create. It's about living a life that feels aligned with our values and brings us a deep sense of purpose.
And that leads us to the idea of using money to make a positive impact on the world. Like whether it's supporting causes we believe in, donating to charities, or even starting our own social impact ventures.
Yeah, because wealth can be a powerful force for good. It's about recognizing that we have a responsibility to use our resources wisely and ethically.
Totally. And it doesn't have to be about like huge grand gestures either. Even small acts of generosity can make a difference.
Absolutely. It's about aligning our actions with our values and using our resources to create a ripple effect of positive change.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, I just want to leave you with a few final thoughts. First, remember that financial success is a journey, not a destination.
It's not about reaching some arbitrary finish line. It's about enjoying the ride and constantly evolving along the way.
Exactly. There will be ups and downs, wins and losses. It's all part of the process. The key is to keep learning, keep growing, and keep moving forward.
And don't be afraid to ask for help along the way. Find mentors, join communities, surround yourself with people who inspire you and challenge you to become the best version of yourself.
Having that supportive network can make all the difference, especially when things get tough.
And most importantly, remember that you have the power to create the financial future you desire. It starts with believing in yourself, setting clear goals, and taking consistent action towards those goals.
It's been an incredible journey exploring Leila Hormozi's wealth-building wisdom.
Hopefully this deep dive has sparked some new ideas, challenged some old beliefs, and inspired you to take control of your financial destiny.
Remember, money is a tool, and you are the architect. Now go out there and build something amazing.